So I was listening to the Landscape Photography podcast recently, and if you haven't checked out the Landscape Photography podcast, I'd highly recommend it. It's run by a guy called Nick Page, who has definitely one of the best photography YouTube channels around, in my opinion. And anyway, he was interviewing another photographer and another YouTuber called Ben Horne. Now, Ben Horne is a large format photographer, so he uses kind of an old-fashioned large format film camera for all of his landscape photography. Highly recommend his vlogs as well. But one of the things which was really being highlighted in the interview with Ben was the fact that using large format film to take photos, there's an expense involved in that. There's a cost. It's not cheap. I think he said it worked out as about $40 or so per image. And so what Ben usually does is he'll go out and he'll camp out in, Zion National Park or Death Valley or these national parks in the US, and he'll spend a few days out there. But he'll actually spend hours, if not days, composing each image, each photograph. And I found this really inspiring. It's just that idea of, really having to think about each photograph, and not just spraying and praying as we do with digital photography. Because with digital photography, we can come out and take as many images as we want. We don't have that pressure to try and get everything right in one image, and so I don't know about you, but certainly I often find that I'm guilty of going out and taking lots of images and then getting home and having to sort through them and find the good ones. And so what I thought was maybe it would be an interesting challenge to come out and limit myself to just one exposure, in the same way as if I was shooting a large format film camera. Shortly after listening to that, to the podcast, I also saw a video by Chris Sale, where he did pretty much the same thing. And yeah, it was just really inspired me to come out and give it a go, just to try coming out and just having one photo. So I'm here in the Brecon Beacons, and that is my plan. The plan is to take just one single image. So no panoramics, no stitched panoramics, nothing, just literally I'm here. I'm only allowed to press the shutter release once, and I'm not allowed to do an auto bracketing either. So I'm actually enjoying it already, because rather than coming up here and running around and thinking, I'll take that, that's the pretty, I'll take that, I'm up here, I've been having a cup of coffee, and I've got a couple of hours before sunset, so I'm actually really enjoying it, because I can just sit down, forget about photography for the time being, and think about exposures, and think about composition, and just take a little bit more time about getting the composition right. So I have made it to the top of Penny Fan, and actually the image I had in mind for today was an image of Criblin, which is a peak behind me there. But I'm starting to reconsider that, because as you can probably see, there's a line of shadow actually created by this mountain itself, and as the sun's going to go down, that shadow is going to rise up, and actually basically the peak which I'm hoping to photograph will be pretty much entirely in shadow. It'd probably work as a black and white shot, but as you can see, the sky is just clear blue sky, which actually isn't great for photography, so there's very little interest in the sky. The light is very harsh. I just don't feel like the image is going to work, so I think I might try and find another composition. Okay, I think I might have found the composition. It's in the opposite direction to where I wanted it. So I'll try and explain it to you. I haven't actually got the camera out yet. But basically, what I thought I'd do is I'd include this rock here in the foreground, and you've got a bit of a lead-in line caused by the path heading up to the mountain, So that mountain is Corndu. I spent a bit of time just wandering around, just trying to work out which of these rocks would make the best kind of foreground interest. My hope is that as the sun goes down, the mountain behind is going to be silhouetted, but I like the layers that we've got from the other mountains heading off into the distance, and I like the depth that's giving the image. Also, by having these rocks in the foreground, I'm hoping that they are going to catch the sun as the sun sets. I'm also going to go for a ND grad filter as well, just to darken the sky down. But we've got a little bit of time before sunset, so I'm going to start getting set up, just make sure I can get everything framed up correctly, and we'll see how we get on. It's going to be quite a precarious position to put the tripod, but actually we're out of the wind here, so it's quite calm, so I think it will be okay. I'll get the camera out now, start getting set up, start getting the image framed, and then it's just going to be a case of waiting for the light to turn out good. Right, the camera's set up, I've got the composition sorted, I think it's going to work okay. The light itself is hitting the stone just here in the foreground, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until the sun just gets a little bit lower in the sky. Settings wise, it's going to change slightly as the sun goes down and the light changes, but I've got it on f16 to try and maximise my depth of field. I'd probably focus stack this if I was allowing myself to do more than one image, but I'm not going to allow myself to do more than one image, so I'm not going to focus stack it. We'll just have f16 focused about a third of the way into the scene, I've got an ND grad filter on there, which I tend not to use too much because I normally would bracket, but again I'm not letting myself bracket here either. I need to get this in one exposure, so I've got an ND filter on. It's a medium 2-stop ND grad, and a polarizer, which to be honest isn't doing a huge amount because I'm shooting into the sun, but I am hoping it's just going to cut through some of the haze, because there's a lot of haze appearing on the horizon, and as the sun goes down I think it's just going to go behind that haze, and I think the polarizer is just going to help with that a little bit. So that's what I've got, and it's now just a case of sitting and waiting until the light is just perfect. I'm actually really enjoying doing this. I think this is probably the most time I've spent faffing around with the camera before taking an image, and I think that's a good thing actually in this case. I think it's good just to spend that little extra time just making sure that all the settings are right, you've got everything set up correctly. And now actually I've got a lot of time just to sit here and wait for the sun to drop until it's just close to the horizon, which means I can relax. And so often I find landscape photography is quite a hectic thing. I'm normally running around and thinking, I need to catch it as the light's good, we'll take this image, or we'll grab that image, and are there any other compositions I can get? And this time, I've just come up here. I've had a bit of a frantic session, to be honest, because I think I'm nervous about doing this in one take. I'm nervous about it working properly. So that's a little bit more nerve-wracking. But now that I'm set up, now I've got everything ready to go, pretty much. Obviously, I'll have to check the light meter when it's time to take the photo, and just make sure that the exposure is right. That's the other thing, by the way, I'm going to do is I'm going to actually underexpose by one stop, just because by underexposing it does help. That does give me more scope to bring things back in post-processing. So we'll have a one-stop underexposure. But now I can just sort of sit back and relax and enjoy the view rather than being frantic. So I think it's been a really good exercise. Really enjoyed it. Okay, I think now is the time, just as the sun's just about to hit that haze on the horizon. I think it's time to take the shot. So here we go. Just double check the exposure, because the light's changing all the time. Like I say, we've got ISO 100, we've got polarizer on there, 2-stop ND grad. I'm going for a 1-stop underexposure, and I've actually got both a 2-second delay and I'm using a cape release just to make sure that there's no camera movement in there at all, no camera shake. There's no wind at this point, so I think we're okay. And yeah, just think I'm going to catch it just before the sun disappears too far, and I'm going to go for it. So currently for the 1 stop we've got a 1.3 second exposure, and oops, hang on, 1 second exposure, sorry. So we've got 1 second exposure, f16, and here we go. Time to take the photo. And there it is. Photo taken. Okay, so the sun's gone down now, camera's away. I might just have one more cup of coffee here in this spot before the light drops too low. Just sit and enjoy it for a few more minutes. But yeah, we'll see how the photo turns out. Looking forward to getting home and doing a bit of post-processing. Yeah, but like I say, this has been, I think, one of the most rewarding landscape photography trips I've done. But yeah, I'm definitely not going to limit myself just to one exposure in the future. But it certainly made me think more about getting the composition right and spending some more time, just making sure everything's set up correctly, and less time running around taking lots of photos. So yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, please hit like. If you've got any comments, please leave them below as well. Please let me know what you think of the image, and please let me know if you're going to be doing something similar to this as well. And if you do go, then let me know how you get on. Send me your images. You can follow me on Instagram. Send me a link on Instagram or a private message. I'd love to see the pictures that you get. This has been a completely rewarding experience. I highly recommend you give it a go. So yeah, if you like this video, please click like, please subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Cool, take care.